The key arrived in a padded envelope with my name misspelled. That was the first thing I noticed. Not the return address from a law office in Peoria, Illinois. Not the little brass key taped to a folded note. Not even the sentence that should have bothered me right away. Mr. Harold Benson requested that Storage Unit 14C be transferred to you upon his death. I sat at my kitchen table in Missouri with the envelope in front of me and said the name out loud. Harold Benson. Nothing came. I was 66 then, retired from the phone company, widowed 6 years, with one daughter in Kansas City, and a son I had not seen in person since Thanksgiving. I knew the names of men I had worked beside in 1989. I knew the names of kids who had thrown rocks at my garage in '74. But Harold Benson? Barely a shadow. I almost called the lawyer and told him he had the wrong man. Then I turned the key over and saw a tiny strip of masking tape wrapped around it. Written on that tape, in faded blue ink, were 4 words. Tell Ray I tried. Ray was my older brother, and Ray had been dead for 31 years. I had a memory of Harold after that. Not a full one, more like seeing a man through dirty glass. He ran a small appliance repair shop in our town when I was young. Benson Fix-It, wedged between a laundromat and a beauty salon. He had a limp, kept penciled behind both ears, and always smelled faintly of motor oil and peppermint. My mother took her toaster there twice, and both times Harold refused payment because, as he told her, a lady with her kids has already paid enough. That was the kind of thing people said about him. Decent, quiet, easy to forget because he never asked to be remembered. Ray knew him better. Ray knew everybody better. My brother was the sort of man who could walk into a gas station and leave knowing the cashier's divorce history. He had a laugh that filled rooms and a temper that emptied them. When he died in 1991, at 39, half the town came to the funeral and the other half had a story about why they nearly did not. The official version was simple. Ray drove his pickup off County Road 6 after leaving Miller's Tavern. Rainy night, too fast, too much whiskey, no seatbelt. For 31 years, that version sat in our family like a heavy chair nobody moved. My daughter, Kate, called while I was still holding the key. Dad, did you get the thing from Illinois? I looked at the envelope. You know about this? Some lawyer called me looking for your current address. I thought it was junk until he mentioned a storage unit. Do you know Harold Benson? No. Should I? I ran my thumb over the tape on the key. I think your uncle did. Kate was quiet for a second. She was a practical woman, like her mother had been. She could hear trouble in the way I breathed. Are you going to open it? I looked out at the backyard where Ray once helped me build a crooked fence we both pretended was straight. I suppose I have to. The storage place sat behind a tire shop on the edge of town, one of those rows of orange doors that all look alike until one of them belongs to you. The manager was a young man with a beard too careful to be accidental. He had me sign 3 forms and told me Unit 14C had been paid yearly by cashier's check since 1992. By Harold? I asked. He shrugged. Records just say paid. Nobody ever opened it? Not since we went digital. Before that, who knows? The key fought me. I had to jiggle it twice, and the lock gave with a tired little click. Inside was disappointment. A metal fan, 2 cardboard boxes, a cracked suitcase, a wooden stool, a coffee can full of bolts, a stack of folded moving blankets. No treasure, no confession written in red ink, just the sort of ordinary junk a lonely repairman might not have had the heart to throw away. Then I noticed everything had labels. Not fancy labels. Masking tape. Blue ink. Fan. Works if cord is replaced. Stool from Ray's garage. Suitcase, Ellis family. Ellis is my last name. I stood there a while before touching it. The suitcase was brown with brass corners and a handle wrapped in black electrical tape. I remembered it from our childhood hall closet. My mother used it for winter gloves and old birthday candles. After she died, I thought Ray took it. After Ray died, I thought it was lost. Inside were my father's work shirts, folded tight, 3 photographs, a bundle of envelopes tied with clothesline, and a small red notebook. The notebook had my brother's handwriting on the first page. If I don't come back, Harold knows what to do. I did not read it there. Some discoveries deserve better than fluorescent light and the smell of rubber tires. At home, I laid everything on my dining room table. My wife used to say I treated a table like a courtroom whenever I was upset. Evidence first, feelings later. The red notebook was not a diary. Ray would have laughed at the idea of keeping a diary. It was more like a list of debts. Not money, favors. Mrs. Alvarez furnace, no charge. Tommy Wade, bus ticket, St. Louis. Eddie Knox, do not trust. Harold, lockbox. My name appeared on page 7. Mikey, don't let him sign anything from Wade. Nobody had called me Mikey since my mother died. Tommy Wade was a name I had not heard in years. He owned 3 used car lots back then and carried himself like every sidewalk belonged to him. Ray worked for him for 6 months before the accident, doing odd jobs and hauling cars between auctions. I found an envelope marked Wade under the shirts. Inside were copies of loan papers with my name typed on them. Michael Ellis. My signature was at the bottom, only it was not my signature. I stared at it until my eyes burned. In 1991, I was married with 2 kids, paying on a small house, and 1 bad month away from losing it. I remembered Wade offer me a loan through Ray. I remembered saying no. I remembered Ray coming over afterward, angry enough that he kicked the leg of our porch chair. Just stay away from him, he told me. Why? Because I said so. That was Ray. Warnings without explanations. Now I was holding forged papers saying I owed Tommy Wade $16,000. Tucked behind them was a photograph of Ray standing beside Harold Benson in the repair shop. Ray had one hand raised like he was telling the person with the camera not to take the picture. Harold looked scared. Kate came the next morning with coffee and a yellow legal pad. She had always been better at anger when she could organize it. So Uncle Ray was involved with a loan shark. Maybe. And someone forged your name? Looks that way. She tapped the papers. Did Wade ever come after you? No. Why not? That was the question. We spent 3 hours sorting the suitcase. Receipts. Old service tickets from Harold's shop. A newspaper clipping about Ray's accident. A map of County Road 6 with a black X near the creek bridge. At the bottom of one envelope was a cassette tape. On the label, Harold had written, Ray, April 3rd, 1991. I still had an old tape player in the basement because I throw away nothing that might someday justify my stubbornness. The first time I pressed play, the machine squealed. Then Ray's voice filled my kitchen. Not clear, not close, but him. Harold, I need you to listen. If Wade comes around asking for papers, you don't have them. You never had them. A chair scraped. Harold said, Ray, you need the police. Ray laughed once. Half the police buy cars from him. Then leave town. I can't. He has Mikey's name on those notes. Kate looked at me. Ray continued, quieter now. I signed them. I stopped the tape. For a moment, I could not hear anything but the refrigerator motor and Kate's breathing. Dad, she said. I pressed play again. Ray's voice came back smaller. I signed Mikey's name. Wade said it was just to show intent. Said no money would move unless Mikey agreed. I was stupid, Harold. I was trying to cover what I owed. If this goes bad, I need you to keep those papers away from my brother. There it was, the first twist. My brother had forged my name, not Wade. Ray, a person can be dead 31 years and still disappoint you at breakfast. That is what I learned. I walked out to the backyard and stood by the crooked fence until Kate came after me. You okay? No. She stood beside me, holding her coffee in both hands. I always thought he saved me from something. I said, maybe he did. After putting me in it. She did not argue. That was one of the kindest things my daughter ever did. I listened to the rest of the tape alone that evening. Ray told Harold he had been gambling again. Not cards at Miller's Tavern like the family knew. Bigger games. Back rooms. Men who did not write anything down until they wanted leverage. Wade had bought the debt and offered a solution. Put my name on a note. Use my house as pressure. Ray said he signed because he believed he could pay it off before I ever knew. Then he did not. At the end of the tape, Harold asked, "What promise are you asking me to make?" Ray said, "If something happens to me, don't let Wade take my brother's house. Don't let my mother know what I did. And if Mikey hates me someday, let him. Just keep them safe." The tape clicked off. I sat in the dark with my brother's voice gone and my hands folded like I was waiting for someone to tell me what kind of man Ray had been. A good one? A selfish one? Both answers felt too small. 2 days later, I drove to Harold's old repair shop. It had become a nail salon with pink curtains, but the back alley was the same narrow strip of cracked pavement. I parked there because I remembered Ray's truck once blocking that alley while Harold stood by the door, wringing a rag in both hands. Memory changes when you feed it truth. What I had once thought was two men arguing about money now looked like two men afraid of the same thing. The lawyer in Peoria was named Sanderbell. She sounded older than me and twice as patient. "Mr. Benson left very specific instructions," she said. "The unit was to remain sealed until his death. After that, you were to receive the key." "Why wait?" I asked him that. And he said some truths do less harm after the people who can misuse them are gone. Was he talking about Tommy Wade? A pause. "I cannot discuss Mr. Benson's private statements beyond the instructions." "Is Wade alive?" "He died in 2018. I closed my eyes. Harold had waited until Wade was dead. Then he waited until he was dead too. Did Harold have family? A niece in Arizona. They were not close. Was there anything else?" Paper rustled on her end. "There is one sealed letter. I was instructed to mail it only after you confirmed you opened the unit. It arrived 3 days later. Harold's handwriting was careful and plain. Dear Michael, you may not remember me well. That is all right. I remember your family. Your brother made a terrible mistake. I will not soften that. He put your name where it did not belong. But he came to me before he died trying to undo it. Harold wrote that Ray brought him the forged papers and tape because Wade had threatened to file the loan against my house. Harold hid the originals, then spent the next decade buying Back the Dead in pieces through a bookkeeper who disliked Wade enough to help. There were receipts in the second cardboard box. I had missed them because they were packed on the fan. Cashier's checks, money orders, notes, $50, $120, $75. For years, Harold paid what Ray owed. Not all at once, not heroically, quietly, painfully, like a man emptying a lake with a coffee cup. Then I reached the last paragraph. I was not protecting Ray's reputation. Harold wrote, "I was keeping my own promise to your mother." My mother? I read the line 3 times. The second cardboard box held the answer. Under the receipts was a bundle of letters from my mother to Harold Benson. I had never seen her handwriting look so uncertain. My mother wrote grocery lists like military orders, but these letters leaned and hesitated. "Dear Harold," Ray came by again upset. "I do not know what trouble he is in, but I know you have been kind enough to listen. Please do not tell Michael unless his family is in danger. He has worked so hard for that house. I cannot bear the thought of him losing it because of his brother." Another letter, dated 2 weeks before Ray died. "If Ray cannot fix what he has done, promise me you will help Michael first. Let me think of Ray as my son a little longer. I know that is selfish. I am asking anyway." I put that letter down and covered my face. For 31 years, I had believed my mother died not knowing the worst of Ray. That had comforted me. It turns out she knew enough. She knew, and she chose low with her eyes open. The final letter was from Harold to her, never mailed. "Evelyn, I made the promise. I will keep the papers safe. I will keep Michael's house safe if I can. But you should know Ray came back tonight with blood on his lip and said he is going to talk to Wade. I tried to stop him." That was dated the night Ray died. For a while, I thought it meant Wade had killed him. It would have been easier in a way. Cleaner. A villain makes grief simple. But the police file Sanderbell helped me request said something different. Ray's blood alcohol level was below the legal limit. His truck had not skidded off the road from drunkenness. He had swerved to miss another vehicle near the creek bridge. A witness reported a dark sedan leaving the area. No charges were ever filed. The second twist was not that Ray had been murdered. It was that Harold had protected us from the debt, while Ray, in his last act, had been driving to confess. He had not died running away from what he did. He died trying to face it. I took Kate with me to Harold's grave. It was in a small cemetery outside Peoria, on a slope where the wind moved the grass in long, soft waves. His stone was plain. Harold Eugene Benson. No beloved husband. No father. No verse. Just a name, 2 dates, and a little metal marker from the Army. Kate brought flowers. I brought the red notebook. I did not know what to say when we got there. Thank you felt too small. Why did you not tell me felt too late? So I stood there with my hat in my hands and told him the truth. I remember you now. Kate cried a little. I did not, though something in me loosened. On the drive home, we stopped at the old cemetery where Ray and my mother were buried. I had avoided Ray's grave for years. Not completely. Just in the way men avoid things while pretending they do not. I would visit my mother and leave Ray's stone untouched except for mowing around it. That day, I knelt and pulled weeds from around his name. Kate waited behind me. I am still mad at you, I said to the stone. The wind moved through the trees. But I know you tried. That was all forgiveness was that afternoon. Not a clean feeling. Not a church bell moment. Just enough truth to let my hand rest on the cold granite without pulling away. A month later, we emptied Unit 14C. I kept the red notebook, the tape, my mother's letters, and Harold's unpaid repair tickets. Kate kept the little fan after replacing the cord. It sits in her kitchen now and rattles when it runs. My son came down for a weekend, and I told him everything. Not because it was easy, because silence had done enough work in our family. Before he left, he helped me straighten the backyard fence Ray, and I had built crooked 40 years earlier. We pulled each post, reset the line, and packed the dirt hard. When we finished, he stepped back and said, "Looks better." I looked at that fence straight at last and thought about Harold Benson spending half his life keeping a promise nobody thanked him for. "Yes," I said, "it does."